In the recent Nintendo Directs, we got a lot of new information about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and following it, we got a presentation focused on the moveset of Banjo and Kazooie who are recently released for the game. But this presentation didn't just focus on Banjo and Kazooie. Yeah, it announced that Home Run Contest was returning, coming back from Smash 4 and going into Smash Ultimate. It's a feature that everybody was excited about. Okay, now let's be serious for a moment. Some Mii outfits were revealed for Smash Ultimate, and one of them has taken the Smash community by storm. Sans from Undertale has officially been included in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sans was one of these Mii costumes. He takes the form of a Mii gunner in the game, and I just think it's absolutely incredible that he was actually put in. Now, I'm not normally one who plays Mii fighters in Super Smash Bros. I generally try to stick to the characters who are within the roster, but I got Sans not just to have the amazing looking outfit in the game, but also to be able to hear the insane Megalovania remix that Toby Fox composed while working with Sakurai, and I'm sure if you watch the presentation, you'll know that he actually just went and crushed the creator of Smash in Smash. Apparently that's factual information right now. Some people wanted Sans to be a full-on playable character in the game, but I just don't think it was realistic to expect that to happen, and I think this is more than enough, at least for me. But a full-on playable character was also revealed for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in the Nintendo Direct. This one was somewhat leaked, but also not at the same time. Terry Bogard from SNK's Fatal Fury series was officially announced to be in the roster of the game. Terry is definitely generating some excitement, although I'm sure there's many Nintendo fans who have no idea who he is. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the significance of Sans' inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'm also going to be talking a little bit about Terry's inclusion and explaining why he was possibly chosen to be included in the game. And with that all being said, let's get started. To begin, let's go over some significant aspects about Sans' inclusion in Smash Ultimate. Now, when Undertale released in 2015, it was an extremely popular title that took the world by storm. The story and unique combat of the game were heavily praised. The simplistic yet iconic art style of the game and incredible soundtrack were also praised. But Undertale had its name somewhat damaged because of a fanbase that emerged around it. From the very beginning, Undertale was praised, and all of a sudden, the community of the game was somewhat shunned because of developments that had gone on. Regardless of your opinion of the Undertale community at the time, now I think it's become much better. Gone are the people who are overly praising this game as the best thing ever and shoving it down your throat, and now you get the people who are just happy that it exists and happy that Sans is included in Smash Ultimate. And this change in attitude towards the community came around the time that Deltarune released in Halloween of 2018, soon after the Nintendo Switch release of Undertale officially came out in September. The resurgence of the game's popularity led to many requests for him to be playable in Super Smash Bros., which Sakurai did acknowledge during the Banjo and Kazooie presentation. Undertale is a game developed by one person, Toby Fox. He initially used a game maker to create Undertale, and the initial experience that was created when it was put on Steam and then moved to other consoles was something that many people really appreciated. The fact alone that the series is being acknowledged in a massive brand like Super Smash Bros. Is a very significant aspect of Sans' inclusion in the game. The game came this far from being a pure concept to releasing on Steam, to gaining some traction, to blowing up in popularity, to moving around through consoles, and then going on the Nintendo Switch, Deltarune releasing, rumors of Smash circulating, and now finally being included as a Mii costume in the game. I touched on the fact that he's not a playable character before and how that might piss some people off, but it would also probably piss a lot of people off if he was a full-on playable character. So another significant aspect about Sans' inclusion is how his inclusion right now isn't really upsetting anybody at all. A Mii costume's not really going to upset any Undertale fans because they're at least happy that this character is included in Smash Ultimate in some form. And it also wouldn't upset some people who aren't really big fans of Undertale and wouldn't want him to take up a slot in the Fighter Pass as a full-on playable character in the game. It's a win-win situation by putting Sans in here, and we get to experience some of that incredible music from Undertale in Super Smash Bros. And now we got to play on those stages where you could play with any music that isn't from a big specific series. Another very significant aspect about Sans' inclusion that was pointed out to me by @CreamyBadness on Twitter is that because he's the Mii Gunner outfit, you can incorporate Ness's side B into his moveset, allowing to continue some of the fan theories that Sans is Ness and whatnot that really popularized the Undertale brand some more. I think this is a fun little Easter egg that's incorporated here, and you could sort of have Sans modeled after Ness in your ideal moveset form in the game. Nintendo announced during the Banjo presentation that there would be more customizability for the Mii fighters in Smash Ultimate, which is always a great thing, and this will allow Sans to be created in the perfect way possible to your imagination. And something else that's very significant is that Toby Fox is actually working with Nintendo some more on another game that was announced previously but showcased more in the Nintendo Direct, called Little Town Hero. I mentioned a couple times that he composed Megalovania for Smash Ultimate, a new remix of it, but he's also the composer for Little Town Hero, a game developed by Game Freak, who, for those of you who are unaware, are the developers of Pokemon. I gotta stress this because Toby Fox is an American. He's working with these gigantic Japanese companies, working with Sakurai and the Smash Ultimate team, and now working with Game Freak, the developers of the monopoly that is Pokemon, on another project. He's the composer for the game. You're going to be able to experience some of the incredible Undertale music in Little Town Hero. The inclusion of Sans in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is not only significant for the game itself, but it's also significant for the creator of Undertale and his current work with Nintendo. It shows the incredible journey that has been taken here, from one guy developing a game to it blowing up, to him now working with Game Freak, composing a major project. But now we move from a Mii costume to a full-on playable character in the game, being Terry Bogard from SNK's Fatal Fury series. I think it's better to start off from the very beginning when it comes to an SNK fighter into the game, because the initial rumor had generated a lot of controversy and many people didn't know what to think of it. It all started when Nintendo leaked on their website that there was a copyright SNK Corporation on the 4th DLC fighter icon, which many people doubted, as well as myself at times, to actually be a thing, but it was. And love it or hate it, an SNK character is now officially in the roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Terry Bogard is going to be coming in November to the game. Fatal Fury is a fighting game series established in the 1990s, and SNK has been very significant in gaming history for establishing some customs in the gaming brand that have carried over for fighting games in the future. It's thought that without SNK's titles, be it Fatal Fury and many other games that they've developed, we wouldn't have series like Smash Bros. And Street Fighter in the states that they are currently today, and for that, I think it's very important that a character created by them is in the roster. Now, one issue that I have with Terry Bogard's inclusion is because, at least with the Western audience of sorts, maybe not as much in Japan, but at least with the Western audience, from what I've seen on social media and whatnot, the reaction to him hasn't always been universal praise. Many people haven't had this big idea of who he is. It's not even to the degree of Hero, where heroes have been included in many Dragon Quest games that have been localized in the West, whereas SNK has had many different titles sprouted throughout the gaming space. They're a large gaming company and has had a large presence on the industry's history, but modernly they're just sprouted around and don't really have this particular series that is full-on popular at this point in time that people could just point to and say, oh, I recognize that character. Sure, you might be able to recognize a character like Terry or Mai, for instance, but many people won't. And this is a main issue that comes with an SNK character's inclusion. While I don't mind the character being included in Smash, many people feel that because they have to pay for this fighter pass and pay for this DLC fighter, that they should get a character that's more recognizable to them. They're fine with a character like Hero, they understand more why Hero's included, but a character like Terry Bogard, maybe that's a little bit too extreme for them. Maybe this is the breaking point. They go, well, I'm not a big Dragon Quest fan, but alright, if you want to include Hero, that's fine. Now this is the second time for them. And this is something that they're not very happy with. This isn't necessarily a feeling that I'm expressing, this is just a situation that's going on a lot in the Smash community. People are paying explicitly for these fighters, and I think it's best for Nintendo to put as big of gaming icons as possible that they can into the roster. And while Terry Bogard's probably an icon from the past, he's not so much modernly. At least not to the level of Joker, heroes from Dragon Quest, or Banjo and Kazooie. And if I'm being completely honest, I think it would have been a lot better decision to include Terry Bogard in the base roster of the game if they wanted to do that, and take one of the characters who was included in the base Smash Ultimate roster and save them for DLC. I think that would have been better to calm the storm of sorts, and now I've been seeing a little bit more praise for Terry's inclusion, but he's still not universally loved yet, and personally I would really like to see how unique his moveset is, because he could possibly be very similar to Ken, as they were similar in previous fighting games that they were in together in the past. But I am looking forward to what we see from Terry next, and I'm also looking forward to playing more matches in Smash Ultimate with Megalovania's theme playing, and potentially playing with a Mii Gunner of Sans' outfit on, just because of how incredible that inclusion was. Another significant bit of Smash Bros. News that was included in the Nintendo Direct is that there will be more DLC fighters coming to the game in the future. Now, this is something that I want to focus a lot more on in next week's video. This video has been long enough and I don't want to drag it out too much longer, so I'm going to spend more time next week talking about that and all of the other stuff from the Nintendo Direct that I couldn't get to today. If you're interested in seeing that video next week when it releases, consider subscribing and ticking the bell icon to make sure that you don't miss it. I encourage you to check out some videos that are recommended for you on the screen right now if you're interested in them as well. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.